Hey everybody, welcome to etrailer.com. I'm Bobby, and today we're taking a look at the Titan chain snow tire chains with cams and a ladder style with V-bars here on our 2020 Nissan Murano. Now, tire chains are going to be an excellent way of getting through that snow and ice, and no other is going to do it better than these V-bar patterns. The V-bar definitely going to be the aggressive build that you can get to get through that thick ice and snow. Right away, you can see that those guys do a great job of biting in, giving us a lot of good solid contact, puncturing through any thick ice or even heavy snow buildup that we might have. Keep in mind though, this can make it pretty rough on your roads and even your tires, as you are going to get a feeling way more of a bumpy ride. So these are primarily going to be for your heavy duty use. Definitely not going to be something that you just want to keep on all the time, especially if you are doing a lot of highway driving or road driving. So they will start kind of biting into that stuff. However, definitely going to be excellent at getting out of any mire that we might be stuck in. So definitely going to be great to have in our back pocket if we have any need for heavy duty stuff. We also are going to have cams with these guys, as you guys probably garnered from the title. That makes this installation even easier and quicker, and is a really nice way of making this nice and tight against the entirety of our wheel with no trouble at all. We also have gone ahead and thrown on a rubber tensioner today. These are sold separately, but we'll break down in the installation of why we have decided to go and throw these guys on. Well, let's go ahead, and you can see here, we do have a ladder style pattern as well. So what that ladder style is getting you, as you can see, I'm fitting a whole hand in between each one of these spokes on our chain. That's giving you great start and stop maneuvers. You're really gonna feel that as you are driving. Keep in mind, that might start impacting your turning radius just a little bit, because as you are turning, you're gonna have to get over those kind of big hills on your wheel as you are going across, and especially with that V-bar, I definitely think we're gonna be feeling it. However, again, as we mentioned, that's kind of the price we're paying for, right? We're getting these big guys. They are gonna do a good job of churning through, so just keep in mind that it is gonna impact our driving just a little bit. You will notice too that we have this on our front wheel, and that is because most Nissan Muranos are front wheel drive. Now with the cams, you are going to have this little tool that comes equipped, and it's going to be great for our installation process. So keep in mind, when you're on the road, keep this in our bag at all times. That way we can actually tighten down our cams. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at how we got installed. For our first part of our installation, we just want to go ahead and set it all out for ourselves. We don't want to making sure we are looking for any kind of kinks in our chains. As you can see today, we've done a good job making sure we don't have anything binding itself. Pretty easy to roll these guys out. It can take a little effort, however, definitely not going to take us too much time at all. And it can really help too when you are storing these in your bags, just kind of lay them on themselves, not really trying to ball them up. Can really be helpful to make sure that we don't have any kind of binds while we are setting this out. But we are looking pretty good. I want to go ahead and make sure my cams are going to be closest to me as I put this up. You will notice too that our V-bars and all of our pinch points, like this guy right here, are going to be pointing away from our tire. So I'm actually be lifting up on this side and setting this entire thing across my tire as I do so. So I'm going to go ahead, get up close. I find it helpful too to kind of find that little center point of where you want everything to be, try to match up however many prongs you are going. And then I kind of like to pick this up for myself, guys, and then I try to kind of wing out. That way I'm not damaging that rim as I set this across here. So you can see kind of getting that all the way across and then draping across our sides. And that way it really starts helping you make sure we are nice and set. Making sure our cams aren't making any contact with our rim, and just gently making sure we are set all across our tires. And now we can go ahead and make our first connection on the back side. Here on the back side, you will notice the Murano sits a little low here. Not a lot of room to work around. I am somewhat of a bigger guy, but as you can see, it's gonna be a little hard to get in here. So with a little snow and ice, this might be just a little bit more difficult for ourselves. I definitely recommend trying these on the garage just a few times to get used to it. But all I want to do is take our back connection here. We're going to have these loose chains like so, and we are going to have our connector here. And I'm just going to go ahead and try to make this connection, if I don't drop it on myself. And we are going to try to make this a little tight for ourselves. So I'm going to go ahead to our last point of contact here. One thing I want to check as I do this is I don't want this binding anywhere close to that inner rim, as you can see, so I can see it's seating pretty well, not dipping into that inner rim. So I think we are being pretty good in this position. You'll notice we'll have a few chains hanging off on the end here. Now I think for today's purposes, it's not going to be terrible for us here, and I don't think these are going to be wide enough to be causing any kind of damage. But if you do find yourself having these on a lot, I would recommend just snipping off these extra chains, especially once we actually find our right position when we get this tightened to our wheel. Now that we have our rear connection made, we want to go ahead and come right to the front and bring up our front connection here. You're going to see this little kind of cam section here. This lever is going to work great for ourselves. I'm just going to go ahead and put on our second link today, as we have a lot of cams to make sure we are nice and tight. And then all I have to do is push this lever back, as you guys can see, and bring in our little triangle holder here. And see, that does a good job of holding it there. Now it is pretty loose, as you guys can see. We might be able to go actually to the third one here, but for now, I'm just gonna go ahead and actually start using our cams that come with this chain as well. Now I really like the cam system. As you can see, I can just go ahead, place our included tool right in that middle section, and I just wanna go ahead and rotate this, sliding that and locking it in position. You can see how that cuts down a lot of that distance, and now we are pretty tight on here. So I'm gonna go ahead and just repeat this process across our cams until our tire is nice and tight. One thing to watch out for, let's not be pushing too much in here, as we are pushing against that wheel. If we were to kind of jam it like that, we don't want to cause any damage with our tool. All we want to do is tighten our cams up. Definitely going to get a little harder as you guys get closer and closer to this being tight. This one might actually be a little too tight for us today, but we're going to go ahead and try it. Watch those fingers too, don't want to be pinching them in there. I'm actually going to go ahead and go down to our further section here. You can see this is already pretty tight up in here. So I'm going to go ahead and transfer to where it's a little bit more loose, taking a lot of that tension out. Don't actually have to end up using every single one of your cams. That's totally okay, as long as we are making this nice and tight across our wheel. So you can see in here now, I'm making sure that nothing's loose. Everything feels very good to me. And I'm not able to get any of my hands in between our chains, so I think we are good to go. Now our cams do a great job of making this a quick and easy and fast install for ourselves. As you can see too, they do take a lot of that slack out. However, as we're moving, those cams are kind of being adjusted and our chains are going to move slightly, so it can be a great idea to go ahead and pick up a rubber tensioner as well. Now these are bought separately, but they definitely are going to help us a lot, as they are going to be constantly pulling on our chains and making sure that they are adjusting as we go down the road. So to actually equip these guys, all I'm going to do is kind of go in a star pattern here. One big thing to note, let's make sure those hooks are actually pointed away from our tire. Don't want that causing any damage after all that hard work we just did. And I'm just gonna kind of take this in a somewhat of a star pattern here. That way we are getting this nice and set across. That way we're gonna have a good pull all the way around our wheel. Won't be heavy to one side. And just like that, that rubber tensioner is on there. And you can see already it does a good job of pulling these guys in. These guys are gonna start shifting. They're gonna all be brought to the center. So definitely a nice little addition here to make sure our chains are staying nice and tight on our wheel. Well, as you guys saw, that installation definitely doesn't take too much time. I am a really big fan of the cam system. It makes it pretty quick and easy to make sure it's nice and tight. The only thing is the Murano definitely sits a little low, so it's gonna be pretty hard for us, I think, if we are out there stuck already with that snow and ice, to get underneath it. However, definitely gonna be doable, but as you guys saw, not too much room to maneuver in there. But that again is why I like those cams. We can just go ahead, throw that back connection, just get it made, and that way the cams can really do all the work of bringing this nice and tight against our vehicle. I definitely also would recommend the rubber tensioner. It definitely helps, as those cams are shifting, to make sure that we are binding itself in, bringing it down, spending less time having to check it. And again, I definitely think those V-bars are doing a great job if you need those heavy duty applications. Well, I think that about does it for our look at the Titan chains with ladder style V-bar links here on our 2020 Nissan Murano. I'm Bobby. Thank you for watching.